QuadQuiz!
Brought to you by Math with Sir Lester. There are 3 questions for this video, and you are to answer them in 15 seconds each. Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1. Let's have this function here. First question. What is the vertex of the graph of the given function? The vertex is at 3/2 and -1/4. Next question. What is the axis or the line of symmetry when this function is given with a graph? The line of symmetry is at x equals 3/2. And for the third question, how many x-intercepts are there in the given graph and what are they? The correct answer, we have 2 intercepts at 1, 0 and 2, 0. Did you get 3/3? If not, please continue viewing this video. The 3 items for this quad quiz are actually related to one, but more specifically, the concept of the vertex and the axis or line of symmetry is more related than the other. We will have the concept of intercepts as we are going to have some analysis on the possible form of a graph. To solve for a vertex, we just need the correct coefficients of this quadratic function. We have the same coefficients that can be found in our quadratic equation here, or the equivalent quadratic equation of this function. Your A coefficient is the coefficient of x squared, which is 1. Your B coefficient is -3, that's the coefficient of x. And your C is +2, that's your constant. We are going to use this to solve for the vertex. And this vertex could also tell us something aside from concavity and the other 4 other important analyses on the graph. This could tell us about the axis or the line of symmetry. But of course, the vertex is a point on our Cartesian plane. Hence, it's a combination of x and y coordinates. The vertex, by the way, is the point on the graph, the parabolic graph, which is the graph of quadratic function, where the graph changes its direction. So, this is very important. Vertex could be solved as -b/2a. So plug in the value of a and b here, you will get your x coefficient, or x coordinate rather. And for your y coordinate, you will have 4ac minus b squared over 4a. Also input here the coefficients a, b, and c, and you will get the y coordinate of the vertex together with the first coordinate. That is your vertex. Now, this one here might be complicated for some, but don't worry, it doesn't matter if you will forget that or not, because as soon as you will get the value of your x coordinate, just like any other point on our Cartesian plane, use that value of x, substitute that in our given to get the appropriate y coordinate. So let's start by showing the first value here. X, we have the negative of -3. Please take note of this. Okay, negative of -3 because you have negative of b and b is already a negative value over 2 times 1. So we will have here the value of x, which is in fraction form. That's +3 over 2 or +3/2. Just stay in fraction if you were able to come across with fraction, because it is very important as we also use that said fraction in solving for our y coordinate, which is represented by f of x. Of course, we will accept fractions because fractions are part of the real numbers. So we just need to substitute that here, x squared minus 3x plus 2, so that we will get the y coordinate of our vertex. In short, we will have f of 3 halves. Okay, so we'll have here the square of 3 halves minus 3 times 3 halves. Okay, don't worry about the fraction. Let's try to see if our result later will still be fraction. Plus 2. Of course, the square of 3 halves is 9 fourths, right? Minus, this is also 9. 3 times 3 is 9 halves. Plus 2. Let's try to come up with the LCD, which is actually 4 here. 4 divided by 4 is 1 times 9, you will have 9. Please review your operations and fractions. 4 divided by 2 is 2 times 9, so you have minus 18. And then we know that 2 has over 1. So 4 divided by 1 is 4 times 2, so we'll have plus 8. Okay? Looking at this, we'll have 9 minus 18 is negative 9 plus 8, we have negative 1 fourths. This is the y-coordinate of our vertex. In short, our vertex is at point 3 halves and negative 1 fourths. The graph of our function will change at this specific point. Now, we're talking about the graph, right? This is not yet required, but let's just use this for better discussion of related concepts later. This is our x-axis, we know that already. Our vertical axis is also known as our y-axis, or in this case, it's also the f of x. They're just the same. If we are going to plot our point here, let's say we have 1, 2. So we have positive, x is positive 1 and 1/2, so it's somewhere here. And we have somewhere here because negative 1/4 is somewhere here. So our point is at this region. Okay, this is our point, this is our vertex. So this is our graph will change its direction. Now, speaking of the graph, again, it's not needed, but just for illustration, the graph here is opening upward. How do we know that? Because of our coefficient A, which is positive. You might want to review similar discussions to that, but automatically, if our A coefficient is positive, we have a separate video for that, by the way. If our A is positive value, regardless of whether it's a fraction or not, we automatically are sure that our graph is opening upward. Okay, it should open upward, so probably it will look like this. So from here to there, going to our point, it will change direction, it will go up. Okay, so this is the picture of our parabola. It is opening upward. Okay, where our x, which is a point of inflection, or it's where our graph changes its direction. By the way, we can see the complete graph here if we have 5 points, or at least 5 points, but we don't need actually the exact picture of the graph, just for this purpose, so that we could have our illustration or the next item on this quad quiz. This is what we call as our axis, or our line of symmetry. That broken line there is our axis or line of symmetry. It is an imaginary vertical line that divides the parabola into 2 mirror images. If my graph is more accurate, you could see that this area here is just a mirror or a reflection or a mirror image of the other. So we are going to solve for the axis of symmetry. Now, this axis of symmetry is a vertical line. In our previous year level, which is grade 8 math, we know that this line, if we are going to connect it, this is a line. The equation of a line is, when it's a vertical line, is x equals to something. And that something is a portion on our x-axis where this line also intersects. And it's actually somewhere here, which is similar to the x-coordinate of your vertex here. In short, here's the hint. Even without this graph, again, we use this graph for verification and illustration, but even without this graph, we can automatically say what is the axis or the line of symmetry of this function just by looking at the x value of our vertex. This would mean that the axis of symmetry is at x equals to 3 halves, or just like this one here, it's equivalent to our x coordinate. Again, even without the graph, automatically focus yourselves on the vertex, take out the x coordinate and make it like this. That's already your axis or line of symmetry. Now let's proceed to the last one. This is also related to this, but we are going to use the idea of our graph as we are going to share discussions on our x-intercepts. The x-intercepts are points on the x-axis where our graph intersect. Now, looking at our graph, we can automatically say how many x-intercepts are there. We have this point here and this point being the points on our parabola, which also passes or which is a part of our x-axis. So in short, we are sure to have two x-intercepts are also already given with it, but the answer as well earlier. But what if we don't have a graph? Okay, because earlier we were not asked about the graph, we were just asked about the vertex, axis, the line of symmetry, and then the intercept with even without the graph. So if we don't have any graph, this is the strategy. The number of x-intercepts actually is equal to the number of the roots of the equivalent quadratic equation of the given function. Okay, so basically, once you could determine the number of roots, that's automatically the number of intercepts. Aside from that, what is also unique is that once we can identify the roots, we can also determine what are the x-intercepts. Okay, the x-intercepts are related to the roots as well. So first, let's try to solve for the roots. The roots of this is when we are going to equate the equivalent quadratic equation or quadratic form to an equation. So x squared plus 3x or minus 3x plus 2 equal to 0. Okay, and of course we have here a quadratic trinomial. This could be factorable because our AC, okay, AC is 1 times 2. Okay, we will get 2. We can use here factoring, by the way. We can use factoring whenever we are going to look at solve for the roots of a quadratic trinomial that is factorable. If this is not factorable, then we're going to use the quadratic formula. But for this, I think it's easier to use the factoring because we can see a factor of 2, because 2 can be 1 times 2 or negative 1 and negative 2. And this pair, when added, will result to negative 3. Hence, your factor here is x minus 1, taking the coefficient, and you have x minus 2, the other coefficient, equal to 0. Then this is true according to the zero factor or zero product property. This is only true if one of the two factors is equal to 0 or even both of them. That's zero factor or zero product property. You might also want to review in solving the roots. We also have videos for that in our channel. In short, the value of x here is 1 and the value of the other x is also 2. As you can see, there are two roots, and this simplifies or supports the answer earlier for 2x-intercepts. So this is the process. If we don't have the graph, we can use the roots and look for the roots. And aside from that, we can also finalize here on what are the intercepts, because the intercepts are actually same as this one here, points on our Cartesian plane. Specifically points on the x-axis. In short, it's a combination of x and y coordinates, just like our vertex. Since they are called x-intercepts, they are points with 0 y coordinates. And what can be paired with this? Your roots here, 1 and 2. This is the y. The intercepts are closely related to the roots. We're just taking the roots here and pair it with 0 y coordinate. And these are your x-intercepts. These are now the complete discussions to the results and the answers for this QuadQuiz. Subscribe now!